Hi, welcome to MapleWoodian.com podcast. We have on the phone returning Bea Miller, formerly Beatrice Miller, Maplewood Middle School star, and now national recording star. How are you doing, Bea?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Thanks for talking to us again. You've had quite a year since we last spoke to you, about a year ago, a couple months after your X Factor appearance. Then you were just moving out to California. You were getting a record deal, and now lots has happened. Most recently, your EP, which we've been listening to cuts of, is really interesting stuff. Tell us about this particular group of songs. Are these songs you wrote or co-wrote, and what is sort of the message behind this music?
I wrote a lot of the lyrics for the song Dracula, and then I wrote the tune of the bridge on Youngblood. I didn't write the lyrics for that, but I wrote the tune. And the general message behind the entire EP is a lot of I just wanted to be relatable to some people and write songs that people would hear and think, wow, this girl's a lot like me. And then I also wanted to make songs that could kind of be anthemic. So I think that Youngblood and Fire and Gold especially are very anthemic, and that's kind of the general idea behind the album, was something that could be relatable and something that people would hear and want to sing along to.
Right, and the name of it is Youngblood, and that's I think what you would consider the big single. But I think all four other songs are getting a lot of attention and have a real sort of young bite to them. Is there any one of them that? Well, first of all, Youngblood is the one that's really getting out there. Tell us about how that came along and your part in writing or bringing that one about. Is sort of the name of the album, the name of the EP, and also sort of the lead song on it.
Youngblood is interesting, actually, because it was the last song that really came around. We were basically done recording the album, completely finished with it, and we were about to say, let's just say we're done and release these songs. And then my manager came across the song Youngblood, and he heard the demo version, and he played it for me when I was in his office, and he was like, this is a hit, this is great, I don't like the bridge on it, but if you could fix the bridge, if you could get in with the writers and you guys could fix this would be big. And I really loved it when I heard the demo, and so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we kind of rushed it out, and we were like, let's schedule a studio session to do this, and I recorded the song, and then after I recorded everything but the bridge, I sat down with one of the writers and wrote the bridge. And I came up with a tune, and we couldn't figure out the lyrics because it was already 3 a.m., and we were like, this is done, I'm tired, I'm going to go home. And then, a couple days later, they had, him and the other writers had come up with the lyrics for the bridge, and they put it all together, and then I went back in and re-recorded it. And it was the last song that I recorded, and I think that's really interesting because it is probably the most popular from the EP.
And how has sales and promotion been on the EP, and how has that been for you, kind of the first real group of songs you've been promoting and looking for how they're doing on the pop charts, on the iTunes charts? What's the experience so far?
That was so amazing. I remember sitting in my living room with my family, my cousin and my 2 uncles and my mom, and we were sitting in my living room on the night before my my EP release date. And it came out at 11:30-ish p.m. the night before. And so I remember seeing that it was up because all my fans were tweeting me Bea, your EP is on iTunes. And I freaked out, and I went and I searched my own name on my phone on iTunes, and something came up. And I remember just feeling so weird that I just purchased my own music on iTunes, and my own music was in my iTunes library on my phone. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing ever. And it actually did really well by itself for someone in my position, because it got to, without promoting, and it had no promotion, and it got to, I think, number 2 was the highest it got to on the pop charts.
Yes.
On iTunes today. And that was insane because we didn't promote it at all. And I was like, I'm no one. How did this happen? And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Now, you had an earlier song that I think that my kids really liked, and I know it's a lot more of a sort of a feisty, almost, I won't say angry, but really yelling out kind of song, Rich Kids, which that came out. Now, how long ago did that come out, and how did you come across that one, and what was the response of that? Was a really interesting first real single.
Rich Kids is going on the album because I love it so much. I was kind of sad that it wasn't on the EP. It's definitely one of my favorite songs, one of my personal favorites, because I actually have said certain things like that before, like, you know, why aren't I a rich kid? Like, that's so unfair. I wish I had lots of money, and, you know, my parents would buy me a car for my birthday and stuff like that, and how I thought it was lame that they just got whatever they wanted for the most part, and I was really just jealous of rich kids because, you know, I'd be wearing my Target leggings to school, and they'd come to school with their Gucci clothing and their designer backpacks, and it just made me feel really small. And I had said that to my mom in the past, like years ago. Had conversations about the same thing, and then my manager heard this song because he was friends with the people who wrote it. Actually, Benji and Joel Madden from Good Charlotte wrote that song. And so he was friends with them, and he played it for me, and I think it was kind of a joke. He was like, yo, you should do this song. And I was like, no, we're actually going to do this. And of course, originally it was written from a guy's perspective, and we just switched a lot of things around, so it made sense for a girl to sing it. But I fell in love with it, and I just thought it was so relatable and could relate to so many kids who, you know, were not rich like myself. And so I was really excited to release that, and I thought it would be really fun to kind of let out a little anger through that song.
Yeah, I think when you were on X Factor, a lot of people, obviously you had a lot of fans in Maplewood, but I think a lot of people who didn't know you liked the fact, and you and I talked about this before, that you really keep your emotions out there, you're very open and honest, and let your emotions come out, and I think that song had a lot of that. But even growing up in Maplewood, now Maplewood's not a rich town, but it's not a poor town. What was it like growing up here, and there are some rich towns nearby, Short Hills and Summit, and even rich kids in Maplewood, but most kids in Maplewood aren't rich. But, you know, what was it about that song related to you just as being someone who grew up here?
I think that Maplewood is very diverse, and it has a lot of middle-class people, but it also does have, you know, some upper-class-ish, you know, just more upper-class than the majority of us. And there actually were a couple of kids who would show up at my middle school, and they were wearing really expensive clothes and had really expensive backpacks and all sorts of things like that, and it made me feel really bad because I was seeing me and my friend group, and we were kind of just average. And I don't know if they felt the same way, my friends, when they saw other kids show up with all these expensive things, but it just made me feel really bad about myself, and I was jealous of them. And of course, you know, all of them were such nice people. Like, they weren't nuding anyway because they had more money than I did, but it still made me kind of upset that they could just get everything they wanted and took it for granted. But, you know, that doesn't mean that they were not good people. It's just didn't make me feel the best.
Right, and your generation is so in touch with media. You have cell phones and Twitter and Facebook and TV, and so you see a lot of the outside world, especially in music, where there's a lot of materialistic and a lot of rich, flaunting things. And I'm sure for any teenager, that's something that comes up. But you said this was a single, but this was on an album. But then I don't understand. You have the EP out, but then is there another album, or are you speaking of an album it was already on?
The album is not out yet. The album is coming at some point, the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year. We're not completely sure about that yet, but there will be an album coming out in the future, and Rich Kids is going to be on it, courtesy of me, because I said this song is so great, we have to release this on iTunes. And then it's going to be on iTunes now. They have this thing where you can do Complete My Album. And so the EP is going to become part of the album. So if you already had the EP, it'll just say Complete My Album, and the album will be cheaper because you had already purchased 4 of the songs from it. So I think that's really cool because I'll just have extra songs. It won't be like a whole new album. It'll be minus 4 songs that were the ones that were already on the EP.
So the album, the songs that are on the EP will also be on the later album with some new material.
Yes.
Excellent. Now, the other reason we're talking to you this week is Sunday you will be back in town, back in Maplewood at the Pride Festival. How do you feel about coming back home to your East Coast home? And have you been back here in the last year much at all and now to perform at this event? How do you feel about that?
I've actually only visited Maplewood like 2 or 3 times within the, actually it'll be a year, tomorrow. It'll be a year tomorrow that I've lived in California. And so I've only really been back to visit 2 or 3 times, which is really heartbreaking for me because my heart is, of course, is in Maplewood, and I just love the vibe of the East Coast, and I'm very excited to go back. Also, all my friends live there, you know, all the people that I've known since I was in kindergarten, and then even the ones who I became close with in middle school, all live there, and they mean so much to me, and I'm so excited to see them because I haven't seen my friends since February, and it's really hard for me to be away from them, and I haven't seen my sisters and my other mom in a while because they still live in New Jersey. So I'm very excited. Originally I was only supposed to come, I was supposed to fly in on Saturday, and I would perform on Sunday, and then I'd do interviews all day on Monday, and then I'd leave, and I said, why don't we switch it so that I can fly in on Thursday or Friday, and do interviews Friday, and then Saturday I can have a whole day with my friends. So I'm really excited because now I will have all day on Saturday to catch up with all of my New Jersey friends, and I think it'll be really fun.
Excellent. Now,
and then of course I'm performing on Sunday at something I'm very passionate about. You know, Pride is of course really relevant to me because I have 2 moms. And so I was really excited when I was given the opportunity to come back and perform in my hometown for something that I really support.
And how has it been out there? Now, do you go to school regularly, or do you get tutored? How does that work, and what grade are you in now then? 9th grade, or is it not that official?
I am just finishing my freshman year in actually a couple days, and I've been doing online school. I found this really great program that really works around my schedule because I'm in the studio a lot. I'm doing interviews and having meetings, and I'm always really busy, and so I found a really amazing program that really lets me do my job, and then also I am able to get to school and really balance both of them.
And has it helped you to be able to do writing of music? Do you do more writing of music or lyrics, or how do you kind of fit that creativity into it?
Actually, this specific school program counts my job as a singer towards my school, towards my academics. If I were to write a song, I could tell the woman who runs the program, oh, I wrote this song, I spent such and such hours doing this song today, and she could count it as part of my school, like as a music class or, you know, anything like that. And if I were to, I actually helped come up with a couple of things for my music video that'll be coming out soon. I have like a couple ideas for that I pitched into the video, and that counts as school too because it's creative. And so, yeah, the program has been really great with involving a lot of the work I do towards my school.
And we also noticed you do a lot online. You put up videos about your day and things about you that people don't know, and I think a lot of extra things for your fans. What's been the response to that? Sort of the personal insights you've posted.
The response has been great, actually. Every time, I used to do it more frequently, but I've been getting really busy, so it's been hard for me to put up videos. But every time I post a new video where I'm just talking to a camera, I get all these tweets like, wow, this is so relatable, I'm so glad you posted this is so funny, you know, this is so similar to me and what I do and how I feel, and I just think it's really amazing that I can sit in front of a camera for 10 minutes and record something of me just basically ranting about my life, and people find it humorous and relatable, and I just think that's really amazing, and I'm really glad that I can do something that's so simple and so easy and have it still affect people and have them still enjoy it when they're watching it.
And you've also done some other things. You did a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, the Nirvana song, which I thought was very interesting. You had a very different take on that. And you did an audio recording of a New York Times bestseller, Deep Blue, where you were reading an audio book.
Yes.
And tell us about that. Those are two kind of interesting outside endeavors.
Well, for Smells Like Teen Spirit, I have always been a huge fan of Nirvana. It's been a while now, and I just think that they are such an amazing band. Actually, they started to come back recently. A lot of teenagers are huge fans of them again now, and I think that's really amazing that music has kind of come back a little bit. And I did want to do one of their less popular songs, but Smells Like Teen Spirit was probably the best option because even if you aren't a fan of Nirvana, even if you are someone who's 13 years old, 12 years old, you've probably heard that song. If your parents have heard that song, they probably played it for you because I know my parents have played that song for me when I was younger. And I wanted to do one of their songs that people would be like, oh, I know this. She did an interesting twist on it. And I just thought that was the best option for that song. And I wanted to really say, I really respect this band and I want to try to live up to their version of this song and maybe do my own little twist on it. And then for Deep Blue, actually, the song that I did for that was released on iTunes today. I worked really hard on that song, and I spent a lot of time reading the audiobook for it. And actually, that was really cool for me because I've never read an audiobook before, and it was just kind of an interesting thing to do. Just something that I could kind of cross off my bucket list almost. And so basically every day for about 10 days I went into the studio where they record those things and I sat down in a chair for 4 or 5 hours straight reading this book. And it was pretty grueling, but it was definitely worth it because I think the outcome was really good and, people will be able to enjoy listening to the book if they have a hard time reading or would just prefer to hear it than to read it themselves. So it's really cool that I got to help with such an amazing book.
Now, what's been the most surprising thing about basically being in the recording industry out there for a year? What surprised you most, and what maybe did you expect?
I think what surprised me the most was how supportive everyone has been of me and my career. And I thought that because normally it's very common for when you are a new artist, you don't get very much say on, what songs you do and what happens in the music videos that you make and things like that. But I've actually had a huge say in all of those things. I got to contribute ideas to my music video. I got to, for the most part, say, I don't like this song, I don't want to record it, I don't think that's the best option for me. And I got to write. I got to co-write a lot of my songs, and I got a huge say on my image and what I wanted to express to the public and who I wanted to be as an artist. And I think that's really amazing that everyone on my team has been so supportive and of me and my ideas and who I want to be.
What's been the worst part about being out there, and what's been the best part? Or has it all been pretty good?
I would say the worst part is being so far from my home, my true home. I actually want to move back to New Jersey, maybe New York City, when I'm older, when I have enough money to do that, because that's really where my heart is. And it's been really difficult living far away from my little sisters, who are 11, and my other mom, because my other mom has a job out there. My sisters go to school out there. Actually, they go to Maplewood Middle, where I used to go, and I know how hard it is for me to move away from there, so I would never ask them, I think you should move out here. Can you do that? Because I just think that'd be so difficult for them to move away from their friends, and because it was so hard for me, I just couldn't bring myself to ask them that. And, my other mom has a job out there, and I think it's been the hardest for me to come to terms with the fact that I don't really live with them anymore, and it's really hard because I miss them so much. But, the best part has been that I'm pursuing my dreams, and it's all actually happening for me, and, it's a very rare thing to do what I do and to actually be successful in it, and I just think that it's so amazing that I have this opportunity.
And how about, have you gotten out into the kind of the social music scene out there, and what's that been like, or do you kind of stick to work and family most of the time?
What do you mean by that?
Well, just like getting out into meeting other musicians or big names or small names or the nightlife or day things in California, or have you kind of really had to stick to work?
Well, I was recording my album, when I first moved out here for the first couple months, I really had no time to make friends, and then once I did make friends, I didn't really ever have time to hang out with them, because I was usually working 7 days a week, and so I had no time for the most part. And now that I'm not recording anymore, I'm kind of just, meetings and interviews and things like that, I do have time usually on the weekends to drive out and go see my friends, and we'll hang out. And I actually am friends with a lot of just normal kids here that go to a public high school, because I actually prefer people like that who, I can talk to them about life and how I feel and things that we're going to do and things that we have done, and share memories, like just normal teenage memories, than talk about the music and my job. I really, it was important for me to find a new group of normal teenage friends who go to public high school who I can just be myself around, because I had that in New Jersey, and it was really important for me to find that again. I do have friends who are musicians and, actors, but not as many as most people might assume, just because I like to hang out with normal people.
And you're living in Los Angeles or nearby?
I'm living right outside of Los Angeles in Huntington Beach, which can be difficult sometimes, actually, because most of my friends live in LA, and I'm about 40 miles out from there. And so every time I want to go see them, I have to get my mom to drive me out. So it does get pretty difficult, pretty tiring for my mom. But we are saving up so that we can move closer to LA, because it will be more expensive out there, so we've been saving up for that for a while now.
Excellent. Now, of course, we'll mention again, you're going to be performing Sunday at the Pride Festival in Memorial Park. But now, you haven't really done much performing on stage during all this. Is that something we're going to see more of? Any kind of touring planned or concerts? Or what does the stage performing plan look like?
We are talking about touring. I'm not sure with who yet, but I think I'm going to open for someone at some point towards the end of this year, maybe after my album comes out, probably like the fall. And I'm really excited for that, because being on stage is probably the best feeling that any singer can have, is just being surrounded by people who are cheering for you, who are rooting for you, who are singing along to your songs, and they know every word, and they just seem so passionate about it, and they just seem so excited to be there. And I just think that being on stage is the most amazing feeling in the world, and I'm really looking forward to getting more stage performances in. And so we are talking about a tour. I will be doing more small shows by myself, I think, and so that's all that's coming up in the future.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you, Bea Miller, for being with us. We're going to put some links to your music up, and obviously a reminder that you'll be singing Sunday in Maplewood. The grand return will be very well anticipated by many people here, your big fans. And we, of course, thank you for the time you give and wish you great luck in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You too. Be well.